What is up? Welcome to another video. Today we are going to review Hawink. It comes with a variety of colors, and I've been wanting to try out this brand of ink for a while, so I'm going to do a tattoo and explain how good it is. And if you like content like this and want to see more reviews on tattoo products, make sure you like and subscribe down below and hit the little bell notification so you can be updated on all of the new videos we come out with each week. And if by chance you're new to these videos, I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101 and welcome to this video. Now let's get to tattooing. Okay, so I prepared the tattoo that we're going to be doing the color. Of course, Hawink does come with an outlining black. I just recommend you go get dynamic. That's preferably what I use on any tattoo, and if I was going to tattoo on a human being with this ink, that's what I would use for the outline, no matter how good it is. It's just what I'm comfortable with. I know how it's going to heal up and all of those things, so I did outline this tattoo with dynamic. Now, since this is a full review of this ink, I'm going to go into showing the bottles, and let's see here. So usually bottles have an expiration date. Cool, so best before 06/2023. So yeah, I just bought these, so I have about a year and a half. You know, usually some of the inks that I buy will last, 4 years. My solid ink, I believe when I first got it, I had 3 years until it went out. So that's one thing you want to think about. Another thing, I know I say do not buy inks off Amazon if you're going to tattoo on human beings and things like that, but I went on CNC and tried to pick up these inks through them because I just bought that new machine, which I really liked. Check out that review. It was a really good machine. I liked using it a lot, and the different strokes that you could change to was awesome. But anyway, I went on their website, and these are completely sold out, so I had to look for them on other websites, and the only place I could find them was Amazon. And I know I bit my tongue whenever I hit the purchase button, but it's the only way I could get them, and I really wanted to do a review on them. So that's one thing to think about as well. Hawink, you definitely need to amp up your production to get these out there. So let's open them up and see how you get the cap offs, because sometimes this could be really annoying. Awesome, so let's see how terrible it is to get this off. Man, this is probably one of my least favorite things. No, definitely my least favorite thing when it comes to getting new ink in the mail. You get so excited, you get ready to use it, then you have to spend 16 hours trying to get these things off. And yeah, so this is physically impossible to do with your fingers. So that is one annoying thing when it comes to the bottles. Obviously, you take them off once and you're good to go, but I'm going to have to pause this video and figure out how I'm going to open these in a sterile way. Okay, I am back. So the biggest problem with opening these up like this, where it doesn't give you a pull tab, is keeping the ink sterile. So what I ended up doing is getting a disposable tool for piercing to have to pierce this so I could open it. Obviously, that's going to be really annoying for people out there that don't have that type of equipment, and you don't want to be trying to open this stuff up with anything. You don't want to use scissors, things like that, because they're not sterile, and you could really mess up your ink. So Hawink, that's definitely one thing that I would say that I would definitely change immediately, would be how you're sealing up your inks, because just a little pull tab would make things so much better. Right off the bat, looking at the ink, it looks very, very watery, which that's not necessarily a problem. I definitely like my ink to kind of be in the middle, not super runny, but not super thick either. Yeah, just shaking it up. I will say it has a nice ball to it. So, some of these inks, especially like the knockoffs and stuff, you try to shake them, and it's like the ball's stuck from sitting in a box for 16 years. But yeah, that sounds good. You're able to shake them up really good, which is great. Cool. So obviously I'm not going to have you sit here while I open up all of these bottles, because it's going to take me probably an hour. So just stick here and I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, so another fun fact. There's also a piece of cardboard up in the top of this. Now, I don't understand why they would put that there. That makes it really hard to try to get out, and obviously you need a sterile pieces of equipment to do that. So I'm going to have to get another piercing tool that we have that's disposable to get that out of there for all of these too. So they have 2 stoppers on this actual ink, which is another thing to think about, because I shook that up thinking it was fine, and obviously it wasn't. So I'll be back again in a few minutes. Alright, so with this design I'm going to be using an 11 curve mag just to try out some of these colors. So let's get to pouring. First, always want to shake it up, and one trick about shaking it up would be always remember to put a paper towel on top like this. Sometimes I've been, in a hurry to pour my ink, get ready on a customer, and what happens was I will open it up not thinking and then go to shake it, and then ink spills everywhere, and then you just look unprofessional even though you've been tattooing for 10 years. So this is one little trick I'll give you. Make sure you put a paper towel on top. All right, so I'm going to set up my ink exactly how I'm going to tattoo them. So I always start with the darkest color, which will be my black. Then we're going to go with brown, green, red, orange, purple, yellow last. So let's pour these. Now I did shake these up for quite a while, so the consistency they come out will be how it really is. So yeah, I'm going to say that this is really, really thin. Once I pour these, I'm going to show you. I'll pour one cap with my solid so you can kind of see the difference of consistency. Now the green, I'll say, seems just a slight bit thicker. It might be just because of how they make that color. The red, my favorite color, yeah, I'll say it's definitely thinner than solid. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that orange at all. It's like water. But it might work good. We'll see. Okay. So, as I've stated, my favorite color is red, so let's just pour a cap of red right above this one so you can see the difference. Well, let's do it below so you can kind of see better. Okay, so what we're going to be using is Eternal Dark Red. It's pretty close to that color, even though it is a little bit darker, but we'll check the difference of the consistency right here. Okay, so here is the Eternal. Yeah, you can see that it is definitely more thick than this ink right here, so the Hawink. So definitely different for sure. Okay, so let's pick these up and kind of see the difference. So these are the inks that I normally use. You could tilt it and it kind of sticks for a second. It won't just really pour out. We'll check this one out. It's the same color and everything, so yeah, this one pretty much flows exactly like water. So it's a super, super watery ink. Let's get into actually tattooing with this. And I'm also going to pour some of their super black, which would be like Solid's matte black or a triple black, something like that. So we'll test this one out as well. So with this type of black, you really want to look for it being super thick because you don't want it to be like lining black. You want it to be thick enough that it'll hold up really well and stand out against the rest of the tattoo. So we'll check this out. And I'll say, honestly, this is probably the thickest one out of all of the colors, so that is one good sign. So again, we'll move these out of the way. So this is my dynamic, replaced with the black of Hawink, and this one is my Eternal ink. So the ones that are not a part of this lineup are out of the line. And let's get started. Okay, let's start out with obviously my far right, which will be my black. Okay. I'm just going to do some whipping out motion, see how it works. Yeah, so with the black, yeah, it's working pretty good for me. I don't have any issues with the black so far. It's working really just like any other black that I would use on any tattoo. Yeah, so it seems like it's being put in there pretty consistent, which is nice. Which I really like about that. I'll fast forward this part because it's actually working pretty well. One funny thing I want to ask you guys. So I've noticed with some colors, whenever you're tattooing with them, you could really smell like whatever's in the ink, you know, especially with my like solids or my Eternals. When I'm using, I think blues is definitely the one that I could really smell. Like if I had a blue ink sitting in front of me and I had a blindfold on, I could tell you which one was blue just from the smell of it. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but yeah, leave a comment down below and see if I guess you're as nuts as I am. Awesome, so the black actually worked pretty good for like the pepper shading part. Let's see how it does for packing. I'm going to pack in this eyeball straight black. And we'll just whip shade out the bottom. Yeah, so it actually did really good for placking in this solid black as well. Yeah, so far, just with the black ink, this is working perfect. Now, I don't have any issues with their super black. It'll create a good tattoo. Okay, let's clean this off really good and go on to the next color on our list. And as always, making sure you dip into your rinse cup before going on to the next color or it'll make a mess of everything. Going on to our brown, we'll just do some brown on the top of this eye right here. Okay, so normally if that was solid ink, that would have completely saturated with what I just did there. So I'm guessing because it is a more watery ink, it's having more of an issue saturating the fake skin. Which is why I like my ink fairly thick, not super thick like Mom's ink or anything like that. That doesn't work at all, but yeah, solid, Eternal, Fusion, those ones have the perfect consistency in my eyes to be able to create a really good color tattoo. With this ink, I'm having to go over it way more times than I normally would, using Fusion, Eternal, or Solid, which I'm not really a big fan of because that's giving more time for the skin to be agitated and then have problems with healing as well. Yeah, normally that would be completely saturated. I wouldn't have to go back to it at all. But obviously some people like a more watery ink, so I guess it kind of depends on your personal preference. Okay, so the brown, I was able to get it in there. I wouldn't necessarily say that I would want to use this on an actual human being just because, you know, it is very liquidy for my taste. I'm not a big fan of that. But for fake skin, obviously you have to go over it a little bit more times, but you know, I was able to get it in there. Let's go on to our green and do these little leaves on top. And besides red, green is definitely my next best favorite. Like my favorite thing to do is probably roses because I get to use my red, my greens, you know, some browns in there for some dead leaves. So yeah, let's see how this works. Yeah, once again, it's just really, really watery. It's just hard to get that color in there the first time, which is, you know, really how I like to tattoo. I like to, you know, get everything in there and then be able to move on so there's not a ton of trauma to the skin when I'm tattooing on an actual client. But obviously with this one, you can see that I'm having to go over it multiple times to get the color to stick in there. But after doing that, obviously you could get it saturated, you just have to go over it more times. Okay, so the green was just about the same as the brown. Very, very watery, hard to get into the fake skin, which would be about the same on human skin as well. You have to go over it quite a bit, and obviously if you're doing that on an actual client, it might cause complications with the healing, things like that. So with that being said, let's jump on to the red. Okay, so this is the Hawink red. Please don't let me down. Yeah, about the same for the red as well. So I will say, out of all of the colors, red was probably the easiest one for me to use yet, even though it did come up really light. What I'm going to do is jump onto my actual Eternal Red. I'm going to show you exactly the difference between these two and how they go in the skin. Just remember that these top ones right here are not going to be the Hawink, they're going to be the actual Eternal. And I'm tattooing exactly the same way I was with the other one. So you can see it saturates way crisper and way smoother as well. Okay, we'll go through here and get these done. So there is the difference between the Hawink and the Eternal Red, which I've used for years and years. So I will say that the Eternal Red is definitely way easier to get in there. It goes in there cleaner, more smoothly. So yeah, that's just the comparison of the two. One's of my favorite color. All right, let's get in here to the orange and see how it does. So the orange we're going to do down here and up here, and then just whipping out. Well, so the orange actually works pretty good. That's exactly how it really would work if I was using a solid or an Eternal orange. So I'm pretty surprised when it comes to their actual orange color. It's working out way better than I thought it would. So hopefully all of their lighter colors work better like that. Which, anytime I talk about colors, I definitely talk about solid, because their El Dorado yellow is probably one of my, it's 100% my top choice when it comes to yellow. Out of any brand, out of any kind of yellow, it's just the best in my eyes. But I'm also a neo-traditional and a traditional artist, so. Yeah, so pretty surprised with the orange. I actually like that color a lot. Definitely the best one out of all of these so far. Go on to the purple. Wow, so the purple's super bright. I changed my mind. This is by far my favorite one so far. Dude, look at how bright that goes in the skin. That's crazy. Honestly, I think this would hold right up with Eternal, Solid, Fusion, all of their purples. This one's awesome. I would give this one definitely a 10 out of 10. just going over it one time how I normally would, and it is in there. I like this color a ton. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, this purple is awesome. I think I'm going to actually do some of this purple on the very bottom because I like it so much. And we'll save the yellow for the middle of the eye. Look how bright that purple is. Really, really stands out. Alright, let's get into the yellow. Okay, so the yellow's going in pretty good. It's not necessarily as bright as I would like it to be. Like I said, the El Dorado just goes in the skin and it's like it's glowing. So this is pretty much like a normal yellow that you'd really find. Honestly, the closest thing I could really say to any other brand out there to this yellow would be like Intense. Just the consistency. Intense is pretty liquidy as well. Which there's some artists out there that do great with Intense. It's just not for me or my style. Pull my liner back out real quick and then just add some markings in the white part of the eye right here real quick. And I'm going to be using I will actually use the Hawink red. I was going to use the Eternal, but this is a Hawink review, so might as well see how it does when lining with it. Okay, so I'd say it actually works way better lining with it than it does anything else. I'm guessing that's because of how liquidy it is, and it just goes into the fake skin with a liner really easily. I'll clean this off so you can check it out. So there we go. That is the review of Hawink. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. H-A-W-I-N-K. Now, when it comes to this ink, I don't know. I really like the purple. The yellow worked okay. My biggest recommendation is, if you're wanting to try this out, yes, it is a little cheaper than trying to go out and be buying the name brand stuff. So if you're just working on fake skin, if you're just trying this out, yeah, by all means, it's a brand to check out. But if you're really interested in becoming a professional tattoo artist, I definitely recommend going with a name brand like Fusion, Eternal, Solid. I just love them so much. They've worked for me my whole career, and it's helped me grow knowing that whatever I get in that ink is going to be exactly the same every different time that I use it. And also when it comes to name brands, they have the ability to make all of these different bottles of ink all the time, so you never have to worry about not being able to buy them. I've never came across a time where I wanted to order Solid and they said sold out. I could always find it somewhere, so that's one thing to think about as well. But thank you guys for watching. As always, like and subscribe down below if you're interested in seeing more videos of me reviewing products for you guys. Even products that I find on Amazon I'll review, just so you know if it's worth buying or just overlooking. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.